Hi, everyone. My name is Mariah Gurley, and today we're going to be talking about marketing to the masses. So, super excited to talk to you all today. There's a lot that we're going to unpack and really just talk about how do we market to the masses and how do we really keep excitement going? What are we marketing? What are we talking about? And why? So, the first thing we're going to jump into is the why. So, anytime that I look at any type of campaign, whether it's a campaign for social media, whether it's a campaign that might be outdoor advertising, no matter the industry, the real question is why. And for me and for a lot of folks, I feel like that's the hardest thing to figure out. Why are we marketing? What are we talking about? And so one of the things that I like to focus on is something that's connecting, right? Not just to me, but what I'm trying to put out there. So the why for you might be, I've had a business for a little while and I really want to get more clients. So that why would be, hey, I need to get out in front of people. I need to get some more revenue coming in. The why for some people might be, well, I want to tell a story about a group of people, or I want to tell a story about a certain experience. And my why is because I've experienced something that kind of pulls me to those type of topics. No matter what the why is, the biggest thing to think about is how is this why going to translate to others? So I've done a lot of work with domestic violence awareness, and my why is because I've actually experienced those experiences. It wouldn't make sense for me to talk about something that I inherently am not passionate about. So your why has to be ingrained in your DNA. I feel like a lot of times as entrepreneurs, as people in the corporate world, as people that are just at home taking care of kids, it doesn't matter what you're doing, why is super important. And it leads a lot of our decision making. So whenever you're thinking about your why, just really make sure that it's connected to something that's really connected to you. Right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is when. When you're looking at marketing to the masses, timing is super, super important. And so for me, anytime that I'm looking at a definitive time block, right, I want to make sure that it aligns with my goals. So for me, and we're just going to have a little bit of an honesty moment, I've always really felt excited about projects. And I'm just like, boom, let's go, let's do it, let's execute. And I'm learning, and a lot of people, and you might have experienced this as well, when might not be right now. Sometimes it's good to take time and let things develop, right? So I've worked on projects before where I've been super excited. I had my why. Now I'm ready to go. Well, there might not be an audience there to support that. And we'll talk about that after this segment, but really when is important. Social media, people, life can make us feel like our timeline is a little bit different than others. We might feel like, hey, I'm in my late 20s, or I'm in my 40s, or I'm even in my 60s. And I feel like I see other people that are just like me, that are in the same age as me, but they've accomplished way more. Or maybe they've accomplished way less. It really just depends on your situation. But when is super important. You have to make that win best for you. So, a lot of times we feel so pushed and pulled and just we have to get it done right now. And sometimes that's not the best. Case in point, an example. When you're looking at building a business, when you're looking at building a brand, when you're looking at building a relationship, it takes time to really uncover and understand why. So when is important when you're ready. And sometimes being ready doesn't mean being ready financially. It doesn't mean being ready, work-wise, like, yeah, I'm ready to get up and go. It's mindset. You have to make sure that you're executing when you're ready. So I always like to tell people, and something I tell myself, mental health is super important. If you're stressed out, if you're not doing self-care, if you're not really preserving yourself, if you've got a lot of crazy energies around you, if you've got people having a lot of access to you and you're just super overwhelmed, that might not be the best time to jump into a new project. It might be when you've created space, when you've got clarity, when you've got a lot of just empty slate to look at. It might be best to then start thinking, okay, what do I want to do? Because life and time are going to continue to move, right? But we have to do things when we're ready. And having that mindset readiness is the absolute most essential thing that I would suggest or recommend to anyone, no matter what they're doing, no matter what industry they're in. You really have to take care of yourself. You have to pour into yourself, and you have to preserve yourself so that you're ready for you, not for other people, but for you. So that brings me to my next point. Let's talk about who. So we talked about why, we talked about really uncovering what that why is and why it's important. We talked about when is the best time to venture into something new, or spur up something existing. But now we're going to talk about who. And this is one of the most just mind-boggling things when we think about who, because a lot of times in business, we're taught, hey, the people that you need to market to are people in your network. That's absolutely not true. It depends. It depends on the why, it depends on the when, but it really depends on what makes the most sense. If I work in the technical industry, right? So if I'm looking at doing a new tech endeavor, my audience might not be my family and friends, unless they have an affinity for tech and they're really into it and they want to learn more about it. My who might be people that have a huge affinity for tech and love to talk about tech and want to know all things about it. I see people constantly getting upset and frustrated because what they're trying to market to people isn't landing. And they look at that through likes, they look at that through engagement, and they're like, why aren't people responding? Well, it might not be in front of the right people. Another thing that's really good to think about is not only who are they, but who are you? Are you someone that is super outgoing? Are you someone that's really, kind of quiet and kind of reserved, both of which are amazing people? But who are you? And understanding who you are will make it really easy to market to people that you should be marketing to. I'll use myself as an example. I am someone that has worked in marketing for a really long time, but I also am a huge nerd, and I love sci-fi, I love tech, I love all these things. So the people that I associate with, are people that like those type of things. So now when I'm talking about these type of things, they're landing. And when people are talking to me, they're landing as well. Another side of that is understanding that who might change. So when you're very early on in your career, a lot of time, or if you're seasoned, if you're a professional, wherever you are, you can kind of start seeing that certain people might not align with who you are in the present. I think that camaraderie and friendship is something that all of us want as individuals, but I think that it's super important when you figure out your why, when you figure out your when, figuring out who is going to be the best to feed you, whether that's spiritually, mentally, even financially. Who are these people that you need to surround yourself with? What I've learned, and what even billionaires will tell you, that your network is really your net worth. So if you find yourself really frustrated and kind of hitting the same walls, or you're associated with people and they always seem to have a lot of drama, or they always seem to have a lot of issues happening, or there always seems to be a problem, it's super important to think, who is the best person to be around me in these times, and how can I protect myself so that I'm really putting my best foot forward and I really have the space to think about marketing? Because marketing is a tool. It's a mindset, it's a lifestyle, and everybody is a marketer, no matter whether you have a degree or maybe you're trying it for the first time. So I really would say who is around you, not to preach, but let's talk about it, is the most important part of building, maintaining, and executing, because those energies and those people are really going to either push you forward or hold you back. And I think it's okay to look at your life, take the job, take everything out of the picture, look at your life and say, what am I starting to see? I'll use myself as an example. The more that I connect with people that aren't aligned with my mission and values, the more I find myself distracted, frustrated, upset. And it's just because inherently we're not meant to be in situations that aren't feeding us and really pushing us forward. So, just to recap, when you're looking at marketing to the masses, you want to identify why. Why am I marketing to them? What story am I trying to get across to them? You also want to talk about when. When is the best time to connect with them? When is the best time for you to even go out on that endeavor, right? And then the last thing you want to focus on is who. Who are the best people that will not only just uplift you, but who are people that you can learn from? Education is super, super important. I feel like I love reading. Sometimes it's not the funnest thing in the world, but reading a book keeps me away from a screen so I'm not distracted. And sometimes I think that's the best way to learn. If you're really trying to lean into a new subject, if you're really trying to understand something that you might not, and everyone has their different learning styles, but I'm finding that actually reading, as old school as it is a perfect way to retain information and for you to understand who. You know, you look at these very accomplished theologians and philosophers, and it seems like in those moments of breakthrough, they really had a sound who around them, whether they were alone, whether they were around other people. It's very important to lean in on that. So before you make another move, think about these things and think about how they could be helpful in your life. If you'd like to learn more about me, you can go to my website. It's mariahgurley.com. Feel free to connect with me on social media. I'm on Twitter at Mariah Gurley and also on Instagram. And I'm super excited to talk to you today. And thank you so much for your time.
All right, so Mariah gave us a 1-2 punch, right? Around marketing. She didn't overload us. She didn't, inundate us with too much. But she said she dropped some really heavy bars, right? Around not just the science of marketing, right? But some things that we commonly do wrong, like being mad at our cousins for not buying from us, right? Or just not putting the right people in our circle, right? To protect our energy and to help pour into us the resources, the money, the time, whatever. Mariah's not able to join for the Q&A, but we do have 15 minutes to unpack this thing around marketing, right? Now, I happen to be a business development consultant and a business coach, so I'm happy to chat through anything with you live right now, right? Drop some things in the Q&A box. Definitely raise your hand if you want to come on stage. If anybody would like to say anything, right? Maybe you are really good at marketing and you want to share some of the things, some of the breakthroughs that you've experienced, right? Since trying new strategies or changing your way of thinking or looking at some, data or looking at some things that you might have pulled from books, like she's saying, right? Let's really spend 15 minutes to unpack this thing after the 1-2 punch. Again, this is about marketing to the masses, okay? Next, we're getting into purposeful leadership in Web3, right? Right after that, it is Web3 in the real world now. So some technical things, right? We won't be inundated, I promise, right? But we're going to get into some technical things, kind of shift our mindset. So light up the Q&A, raise your hands. We have about 15 minutes to unpack this. First, I'm bringing you up, Sharon, and then Alexis Miller, I'm bringing you up. And then, really good questions. Okay, beautiful. So real quick, Sharon, and then Alexis. Sharon, I just handed you the mic, mama.
I feel like it's always me.
Hey, and that's fine.
I feel like it's always me.
Take up all the
I
space.
feel like it's always me. Fine, I'll take up the space. Y'all better start raising your hand up in here. I'm just gonna snatch that NFT from y'all, then I'm gonna snatch it. So the thing that I want to say is like your family. The biggest thing for me was like your family is not there to buy from you. Your family
So
is there to
great.
hand you the tea while you're working on your project. Your
So
family is
great.
there to watch them kids,
So
keep them kids out your way. Your family is there. You tell your family, I need an hour or your family is there to keep them kids out your way from 7 to 9 while you're working on your grind. That's what they're there for. Your family is there for support. Your family doesn't have to know all the basics of basketball to cheer you on from the
So
stands.
good.
They don't. That's not what they're there for. They're a part of a completely different community. We are here to support your business. We are here to talk about marketing. We are here to talk about business development. We are here to talk about coaching. That's what we are here for. We are your professional network. Your family is not here for all of that. Your
That's
family doesn't understand what it means to be in the red. Your
that's
family
right.
doesn't get that.
That's right.
If you don't have entrepreneurs in your family, they are
Come
not going to
on.
understand any of that.
That's
If they don't
right.
understand what that means to hustle, it's one thing for you to have a mom or somebody that has struggled, but it's another thing to have a family member that has started a business from the ground up.
That's
If they don't
right.
get it, they never will. If they haven't
Yeah.
been through it, they don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will never understand what it's like for my mother to go through chemo. I'm not going to sit up there and be like, well, mama, you need to do this. Just like my
Right.
mama not going to be able to tell me how to do marketing. My
That's
mama can't talk
right.
to me about marketing.
That's
I've never
right.
lived her experience. She's never lived mine. Stop asking your family for business advice.
Yeah. That's so
If you,
good. Yeah. Yeah.
that's the thing I've learned.
Thank you,
That's it.
sis.
No
I
problem.
think that resonates super deeply. And hopefully that lifts some burdens for some people, right? Like
Yeah.
Mariah is right. Like that hitting for
Yeah.
Sharon, that hits for me too, right? Like we have to release the anger and the resentment around our family and friends not buying from us.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't
Yeah.
buy. You don't even know all the people that are probably mad at you right now for not opening their
Right.
emails. They're looking at MailChimp to see if she opened it. It's not
Where
personal.
Victoria? I don't know where Victoria is, but she said it the other night. She was like, stay out of other people's pockets.
Yeah.
You don't get to
You
decide
don't
what people
know.
buy. You don't get to decide. Stay out of other people's pockets. Stay out of their mind. Stay out their business. You don't get to decide what they do. Thank you for that
Thank you
nugget,
so much,
Victoria.
Karen. Thank you. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to let me mix it up. I'm coming to you, Alexis. I'm going to throw one question on the stage and I'm coming to Alexis. So this one is from Tiffany Brown. 5 upvotes on this one. So a very popular question. She asks, is Facebook ads and Instagram ad still a useful tool? I would say Mariah's not here, right? I would say it's still very relevant, though it is changing, right? Which is why Web3 is so important. Um, I won't get into too much, but I will say people are using their phones a lot, right? A lot. Like whether they're sitting on the couch, whether they're in the coffee shop, whether they're on a train, right? Like it's not like the billboard ad, which is stationary and it can't go with people, right? So it is very, very smart to apply ease to your marketing strategy, right? Where people don't have to do too much to get to it. Like that's just not how we move, right? And so if you're pushing the people who are already on Facebook, then it is smart. If your target audience is on Facebook, if you're targeting grandmama them, right, or auntie them, they're probably on Facebook. If you're targeting Gen Z, they're probably not on Facebook, right? Where are they? They're probably on TikTok, right? They're probably on Instagram, right? They're probably even on Google search, right? So think about ease, right? Think about where your people are. And today, things continue to change, but today we are glued to our phones, right? Things might change, right? Now, I caveat that with the fact that in the last couple of months, literally in the last couple of months, people's ad spend on Facebook and Instagram has about doubled. Why? Because you might have noticed this in alerts that you get. Apple has put up barriers to who can track their users activities, right? So it used to be that you could say something aloud in your house, and the next thing you know, oh my gosh, I'm getting an ad for it. Y'all remember that spooky? Y'all remember that spookiness, right? Well, regulators hate it, right? Rightfully so, right? Consumers hate it, rightfully so. And so Apple has been pressured to put more barriers around who could track what, who could type what, so that people don't know how to find you, right? And because of this, people who are spending money for ads are having to spend double what they used to spend to get the same amount of sales, right? Because it's just harder to get in front of people, right? So just keep that in mind, because especially as we enter into a recession, right? You gotta protect your cash flow. So that doesn't mean you double your ad spend, Listen, if you gotta protect your cash flow because we're in a recession, right? It might mean you have to be creative about other ways, right, that you find people. Maybe you have to start making, if you're targeting Gen Z, for instance, maybe you got to start dancing and making some more TikTok stuff for free, huh? Because the ad stuff is more expensive. But just keep that stuff in mind. All right, I hope that was helpful, Mamacita. I am bringing you up, Alexis. The mic and stage is yours, Mama.
Yes, Mariah. Oh, she basically said everything I say in my consultations, and the biggest part of it is authenticity. And I work with like a lot of real estate agents and mortgage loan officers, and where they struggle the most is it's a flash, show that I'm busy, show that, opulent, show luxury, and they lose it when it comes to connecting with that home buyer. The luxury buyer market is only 1% of their overall business. The majority of who they're going to be working with is first time home buyers and, your family, your spirit and stuff like that. So authenticity is key. And I feel that's kind of where us as Black women have the advantage because we're feelers. We identify with a lot of people. We're empathetic and we can convey that so beautifully to where it connects with people. So she sent absolute chills. But yes, the authenticity piece is key. And I know we're going to kind of get into the technical aspect of it, and I said this to a couple of people already in the DMs, that corporations have an arm of digital marketing. And in that arm, they have market researchers. They have people that actually manage the content. They have content strategy and everything like that. Us as small business, a lot of time we focus on that content marketing piece, but content is just one aspect of an overall picture. You have to do market research. You have to know who your audience is, and you have to know how they will digest what it is that you're putting out to them. So, right. Good job. I know she's not here, but good job.
Nah, huge job to you. Congrats to you on really dropping those technical gems just now. Thank you so much, Alexis. I appreciate you, Mama. So good. So good. Ashe. And I think that also hits, I'm going to show this on stage if you don't mind, Cherie, that also hits on what Cherie just said, right? What Alexis just said hits on what Cherie just said. So Cherie just said, Facebook ads have never worked for me. I never saw any new people who weren't already in my customer base. Ashe. So what's important to understand here is exactly what Alexis just said. There's actually a science to marketing, right? Especially paid ads. And if you don't know what you're doing, literally, right? Like I did this wrong in the beginning of entrepreneurship for myself. If you don't know what you're doing, it's best to save that cash flow because that cash literally buys you time. And if you don't waste $1,000 on ads because you didn't know what you were doing, right? You can't get that back, right? There's a science to it, right? You have to know what interests, what areas, what characteristics to put into those ads to find the people that you're looking for. You have to know when to put a certain type of ad in front of a brand new person who never heard of you, and what types of ad to put in a person that has heard from you 20 different times. Chances are the person has never heard from you is not going to buy the thing you're marketing for $3,000. Why would they, right? But the person that's heard from you 50 times, they might, right? So you got to think through, right? And this is why companies use the market research to understand how people are being marketed to, when to market certain things, etc. So if you don't know what you're doing, right, hire somebody who does, outsource it. Let somebody operate in their zone of genius. The first time I outsourced my paid ads and Shawty came back with 910 new leads in like 3 days, I said, what? What? Right? Because I didn't know what I was doing, right? So Ashe, and there are people like Alexis, right, who understand this stuff. So like lean on the people who have strength in these areas. So good. An example of that is like for some ads I do, I put in Cardi B and I get so many hits. Yeah, I won't tell y'all what it is because some of y'all in this room in here because I put in Cardi B. Okay, it's that deep and intricate. Okay, I'm handing you the mic, Dr. Karian. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. The stage and the mic is yours, Mama.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? Thanks so
Good,
much
how
for
are
the opportunity. I'm good. So one of the things that popped up for me during that presentation a while ago is the fact that the who part, who you need to serve or kick your service off with, is really yourself. There's a selfishness to business as well, is what I'm also learning. So when I think about like target audience or ideal client, it's who I was when I needed help back in the day without knowing that I actually needed help. So that is kind of the flip that I've taken to figuring out how to learn some of this marketing strategy, that really it may just be who you were a month ago, 2 months ago, 5 years ago, that you could start with and then grow from there based on the different networks in which those types of individuals exist. So it was really great to kind of hear how how Mariah had kind of teased those pieces out, because I know the who is where we struggle a lot. Like, who's my ideal client? What do they do? We know they gotta have money, but really and truly, where are they mentally and emotionally now? And you can use yourself to figure that out. So that connected.
That's so good. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Karen. And that's real, right? Like, we can't expect somebody to know the big words we've learned after 10 years of doing something. You use those big words. Like, let a doctor try to use these big words to the Black community. We're scared. We're like, I can't pronounce that. But let them say something like that, the gout, right? Oh, you like, that was in your family, huh? Yep. Like, let them say something like, high blood pressure or sugar. Like, break it down to, you're right. Yes. Break it down to where they are. What's the gunshot wound? That's what I always call it. What's the gun that people will pay for the gunshot wound? The aspirational stuff. It's just like, oh, that's cute. Maybe in 10 years, put it on my vision board. Right. Mm-hmm. So good, Dr. Karen. Am I saying your name right? Karen?
Yep, Karen. Mm-hmm. You got it.
Oh, nice. Okay. So nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. So good. So good. Okay, we have 3 minutes left. Let's go to a question. This one has lots of votes. This is from Victoria. And she asks, can we discuss how marketing and branding are intertwined? Ashe, I love my products, but don't always feel comfortable promoting myself. Ashe, this is so good. For those who have comments on this in the chat, just write them down. I'll show some of them on the stage. I'll very, very quickly, just so I get to another question, I'll very, very quickly share some of my opinions on this. So I look at, I'm going to actually add a third thing into this. I look at marketing, sales, and branding, right? Marketing is the billboard that you pass on the street, right? Which led you to go to the store in the mall when you got there, right? You just happened to see the shoe store and you were headed to the mall anyway. That's marketing, right? Sales must be present in business. Sales is the shoe guy that shows up and say, hi, what color are you looking for today? It's not marketing. Like, marketing got you there, but it's something about that man that closes the deal before you walk out of the door, right? So that's sales, right? It is the person saying, set up a call with me to explore my block. That is sales, right? And the more expensive your product is, right, the more intensive your sales strategy needs to be, right? I don't need to talk to a salesperson about the $5 t-shirt, child. Just put the rack right there. I'll look myself and I'll buy it if I need it, right? And you're not going to make no money off of me if you're paying for sales, right? But for the $5,000 product, right, I do need to talk to a salesperson. I need to ask about the customization features, baby, right? And then branding, I would say, now drop your comments in the chat. Branding is different in that it is the difference between, okay? It is the difference between going to a vending machine and seeing 2 chocolate bars. The one on the left has a Hershey's wrapper on it. And we know the Hershey's wrapper, even if it's a new chocolate bar and I've never tasted it before, right? I know the Hershey's wrapper. And the other one has a Ziploc bag. And it's the same piece of candy inside of there, but it's a Ziploc bag. What are we going to choose every single time? Even if this one is way, way less than the Hershey's wrapper, because of branding, Because of branding, I'm going to go with that one, right? And so I actually had a branding consultant when I started entrepreneurship who ingrained this stuff in me. And he told me, Casey, don't you ever go back out here with another naked piece of chicken. I'm like, dang, I've been doing. He said, your presentations are cold, but your branding doesn't show up. Your colors don't show up. It needs to be to the point when somebody sees those colors and they feel, it's like, yeah, I got to go to that. I know it's going to be good. It's like that Hershey's wrapper, right? So 3 very different things, right? But the third is, right, I would say personally, now marketing people might say something different. I would personally say that your brand can have an identity without you being on the forefront, right? Because I want to die And my business lives on, just like Nike will live on. I don't know who that man was that created it, right? Oprah, right? Maybe not so much. When she's gone, do we care about Harpo Entertainment? Maybe not, right? So I would just be strategic around that identity, like somebody said in the chat, right? Where it has a spirit, it has a flavor, it has a reputation. You know, let your logo show up every single time. Let your color show up every single time. Let your font show up every single time so people get used to it. All right, let me see if I want to show anything. I'm gonna show this on the stage. Sequoia says marketing is a part of branding. Ashe, it is. All of those three things are all together. 100%. 100%. Thank you, Sequoia. All right, man. Okay, we got to go, y'all. We have to go to the next one. I'm sorry for people who I could not get to, but it looks from the chat that this was very, very, very helpful. So, Ashe, yes, how your viewers identifying with you and your biz. Okay, cool. I think we're all on the same page now. I told y'all we're going to get into this business portion of this, right? We've gotten our chakras aligned and we're feeling our light, but we found this big founder energy today. So the next section is from Monet Quarles. It is called Purposeful Leadership in Web3. Okay, Purposeful Leadership in Web3. And then we're going into a workshop. Have your pens and your papers ready. A workshop by Elena Whitaker called Web3 in the Real World Now. I'll see y'all on the other side. Peace.